Communication, particularly media technologies, are literally changing what it means to be a person, a citizen, a family member, all of the things that we are. In this department, you can study those things as they're occurring. What could be more fun than that? We have 3 parts. One part focused on how media and the mind interact, another focused on how media and the political world interact, and another focused on media and culture, broadly construed. And across all of that, we have a really strong training program in journalism. We think a lot about journalism in public life.
In Com 104, you learn the basics of journalism and news writing and reporting. What is news? How do you find it? How do you write clearly? How do you do interviews? And so basically what I tell students who enroll in Com 104 is not all of you are going to become journalists, but you're going to learn skills that are going to help you no matter what job you pursue after graduation.
If you're interested in disinformation, if you're interested in polarization, if you're interested in virtual reality, if you're interested in diversity of viewpoints, studying how to make content, how to measure its impact, and how to think through the impact of that content on society, those are the types of skills and questions you'll be able to develop and pursue in communication department classes.
At Stanford, I teach an undergraduate level class called The Politics of Algorithms. What we do in this class is take a step back and see how we can make sense of these developments. In order to do that, we draw on classic texts in the social sciences to make sense of what's changing and what's not changing with algorithmic systems.
The first class I teach is Com 158-258, Censorship and Propaganda in the Digital Age. This is a class that's interested in questions of, with digital technologies, how should we understand censorship and propaganda? What are the effects of censoring and propaganda, and who are the actors who are engaged in these activities? All of my classes are kind of hands-on project-based classes. So it's through this kind of project, real-life exercises that we learn more about how do we do research.
Here at Stanford, we have the social media lab where we study all these things related to, everything from deception and trust, relationships, well-being, the role of AI. And students can come and get involved in any of those projects. There's a whole range of activities, from doing literature reviews to running a participant through an experiment to working with the graduate student to analyze some data. And there's a ton of projects that are almost always going on that you can get interested in. And it's right here in the Department of Communication.
The Media and Personality Lab is the group of researchers that I work with here on campus, and we study how personality gets expressed in various digital media. What do those digital behaviors reveal about the person on a psychological level? Each semester we have undergraduates who are involved in the work. If they have an idea or they want to help with an ongoing project, they can get course credit in order to do that and have it count towards your degree.
In the last quarter that I had here on campus, I took digital media entrepreneurship, I think, and I actually got to work on the concept of a startup or a company. Pretty much every class had something like that, where you were kind of put in the position of, okay, well, let me put my real world hat on and figure out what the problem is and how I can solve it using what you're learning in class. Those questions that I ask myself every day, and I kind of learned how to start asking those questions while I was here.
As a technical recruiter at Google, a lot of what we do is communication. You're going to be influencing tons of different stakeholders, whether it's a hiring manager, an interviewer, your candidates, your teams, and you're going to be doing that type of influencing on multiple mediums. I think the department was not very big in general, and so that allowed the professors and the administrators to always be there, and it always felt like home to me. It was very easy to grab lunch with a professor, grab coffee with an administrator, and talk through the process and through all the requirements, and they didn't make it scary.
Find what you like to do, and if you don't know what you like to do, explore it more. And the best way to do that is spending a lot of time in the labs. I spent a lot of time in the Chime lab with Professor Clifford Nass. It eventually was where I did my master's, and I also spent a lot of time in the virtual human interaction lab. Those labs gave me a lot of real world skills that were super invaluable. I still use these skills today.
There's so many changes that have already taken place. I mean, it's hard to think that just 15 years ago there was no Facebook, there was no iPhone, and yet these kinds of technologies are transforming the way our society works, the way our families behave, everything. So now is the time for us to be understanding how these things work.
Really, it's one of the more relevant majors. If you care about the future of democracy, of society, if you're interested in pursuing a career that relates to digital technologies, social media, and the future, and helping chart the future course for how we're going to communicate, this is the major to take.
When you think about what makes a great university, you have to think about where they are in time and place. We are sitting here in Silicon Valley at a moment when Silicon Valley is changing American and global life. And in this department, we are trying to build a social scientific way of understanding that situation that is as powerful and as important and as influential at the end of the day. We want you to be a part of that. Come play.